Good morning and welcome to the March Board Workshop, where we get a report from our various committees. And I'll first call on Johnny Hutchison to report on the ACC.
Thank you, sir. I will get the microphone. In March, our committee met twice, as is usual, and I'm happy to report that we had 9 new homes that came up for approval during the month of March. That brings us on a fiscal year basis to 31 new homes approved versus 27 prior year, and on a calendar year basis, 17 approved versus 6 prior year. So that's quite an increase, certainly on a calendar year basis. One issue I would bring to the board, raise just so that you're aware of it. In talking to Brent Hamilton recently, it appears, at least in his estimation, there are currently less than 50 buildable lots left in Pecan. This is not taking into account, obviously, what has been broken out over there, and what is it, Orchard 12, the new area. But I'll raise it only from the standpoint that this obviously, new buildings, new homes raise a lot of revenue that we depend on, and it's not going to be very long before we're starting to run out of this source of revenue. So just as an FYI. I'm sorry. Question for you.
Do you know how many lots are owned by other than Lenmo or by the Anthonys that are of those 50?
Of those 50, I don't have the exact numbers, but I would hazard a guess, and I think it's a pretty good guess, that the vast majority of those are owned by individuals. And now take into account, obviously, there are also some lots over and above that 50 that are, in Brett's estimation, deemed unbuildable because they've got such massive drainage issues. So there are some of those lots that obviously people own simply so they've got the ability to come in here and play golf and so on.
And the association only has 4 left. 4 left to sell.
Association has 4, and yeah, if you could get that number and send it. Just
okay.
How many are owned by contractors? That, you know, how many the Leonard Corporation owns, and how many individuals own?
Sure.
That number.
Sure.
If you send it to Michael, that'd be great.
Okay. Sure. No problem.
Thank you.
One other issue that I would bring to your attention, it was brought up at a Wednesday breakfast meeting a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, that there was a subcommittee from the ACC that has been meeting with Butch Barton and the commissioners relative to drainage issues, simply from the standpoint to do some investigation as to whether or not there are county ordinances, rules, and regulations that we might be able to use relative to controlling drainage issues within Pecan Plantation. As we all know, for the last couple of years, those have been high on the list of issues that people have had to deal with. At this point in time, the commissioners have basically said there's nothing that we wish to take part in as far as Pecan is concerned, so it will be up to you folks to deal with your own issues. I don't know whether that's going to be a final answer because we're still not through trying to talk with them, but at this point in time, that's kind of the initial response we've had from the county commissioners.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hutchison. Next on the list is...
Can I just ask for a point of clarification?
Sure.
Was their reaction in response to Ben's statement that he would work with the limo committee internally to work through the issues so that the county would not have to be involved?
I certainly suspect that was a part of their response. I'm not sure that that was all of it, though, because I believe the other commissioners, my take from the conversation, the other commissioners, other than Mr. Barton, basically didn't seem like they wanted to deal with our issues. So I think it was a combination of the two.
Any other comments? Okay, Bylaws Committee, Robert Maurer is the chairman of that, and
Bylaws did not meet.
Okay, did not meet. All right, thank you. The Finance Committee, Mr. Brizon.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met yesterday. at its regularly scheduled time, reviewed 5 authorizations for expenditure. I should say that all of these AFEs were for budgeted items, so all of these are all in the annual budget. The first AFE is AFE 16-03-04 for the purchase of a replacement equipment trailer, and that was presented by Daniel Van Patten. The existing trailer is old, incapable of handling our equipment transportation needs. The old trailer will be retained as a non-replaceable asset and used for lighter hauling duties. The AFE was approved unanimously for presentation to the board in the amount of $4,141. Next is AFE 16-03-05 for purchase of a replacement grounds mower. That was also presented by Daniel. The existing mower's worn hardware prevents it from providing an acceptable level of quality, and it will be retained as a non-replaceable asset for rough cutting chores. The AFE was unanimously approved for presentation to the board in the amount of $23,805, which is one of the bids. Next, we have AFE 16-10-08 for the purchase of golf course utility carts, and that was presented by Michael Underwood. The existing 10-year-old gas-powered carts will be replaced with better performing and more maintenance-free electrical carts, and they will be retained as the old ones will be retained as non-replaceable assets for lighter duty use. The AFE was unanimously approved for presentation to the board in the amount of $19,965. Next, AFE is 16-10-09 for replacement of the existing archery shooting lane structure, and that was presented by Keith Casterlin. In addition to being an eyesore, the existing structure requires constant repairs and is a potential safety hazard if it were to fall while users are there. The new structure will provide better protection from sunlight and the elements and add to the comfort and attractiveness of its users. The AFE was unanimously approved for presentation to the board in the amount of $32,500, and that's what was in the budget. Actually, that's a bit more than was in the budget, and I'll make a comment about that in a minute. Last AFE is 16-10-10 for Club Pool Pump House. That's hard to say. Club Pool Pump House electrical updating. That was also presented by Keith Casterlin. The current ancient and unsafe electrical components in the clubhouse pump room, including all conduit, circuit breakers and breaker panel, lights, outlets, and motor starter, will be replaced. It's judged that that's probably the original stuff, so it really badly needs to be replaced. The AFE was unanimously approved for presentation to the board in the amount of $5,900. Although 2 of the AFEs were over budget, one of them being the archery range, in aggregate, this group of AFEs came in $1,890 under budget. Any questions on those? Okay, finally, a change order for additional funds for the number 17 pond retention wall was presented also by Daniel Van Patten. The AFE 15-10-20B for the number 17 pond retention wall was approved by the board at its March meeting in the amount of $51,668. During the course of the project, it was decided that continuing the retaining wall on the northeast side of number 17 pond to include the inlet was prudent and justified. So the change order for funds to complete that additional work was obtained. While the project is open, it doesn't make sense to do this after you've done the other work, so they're going to include this as part of the original project. The change order was unanimously approved for presentation to the board in the amount of $16,850.
And I might add, the Infrastructure Committee and the Golf Committee has looked at this change order and agrees.
I have one question on that one. Daniel, when this added the northeast side, will that mean that the entire area around the 17th pond will be finished without earth? In other words, will it be concrete, shored up?
Not the fairway side, not on the fairway side.
So the fairway side will remain as is?
Yes.
When we did that, did we look at the fairway side? Somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought we had.
We did.
What was the cost of doing the fairway side also?
We had an engineering estimate. It was somewhere around $70,000 additional dollars to do that side.
Okay. All right. I've looked at the project again, and I couldn't remember what the cost was on it. The northeast side definitely needs it, and I think this is a good add-on. Well, we haven't voted on it yet. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask a question? What is the total cost that the 17th pond is now running with the additional of the $16,850?
It comes to about $68,000 with this addition, something like that, $66,000 to $68,000, and that's not counting the $6,000 for the engineering, $6,500, I think it was. Is that correct, Michael?
Right. The engineering portion was in last year's fiscal budget, and this year we budgeted $70,000, and so this will take us right up to that $70,000 with the change order.
Close.
And what was the total budget for the replacement originally?
$70,000.
$70,000.
What's this one?
All right, moving on to financials. Januszewski reported that for February 2016, revenues exceeded expenses by $21,426 versus a budget of negative $47.56 for a positive variance to budget of $26,182. Year-to-date, revenues have exceeded expenses by $125,825 versus a budget of negative $21,816 for a positive variance to budget of $147,641. The current year-end forecast projection for fiscal year 2016 now stands at a net income of $38,381. That completes my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Razon. One further question, I guess, for you. On that fairway side, number 17, any erosion or damage on that side? Minimal? Okay, all right, thank you.
When do you expect to have that finished?
Weather pending, we should see concrete forms going in within the next week or so. I would assume that'll take a couple of days, and the concrete probably is the majority of the week.
Any other questions for Finance Committee? All right, thank you. The next committee report will be from Linmo Committee, and that's John Jakely.
Yeah. We, nothing to report right now. We anticipate a meeting in the near future, but nothing right now.
Okay. And long-range planning, Mr. Cross.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, the committee met this month at our regular time on the second Monday of the month, and the major effort that we have ongoing is to complete the annual long-range plan report, which is due on May 1st. Several members of the committee have contributed sections that have been consolidated into a first draft, which is in the process of being reviewed by the other committee members. So that's a major effort for this committee. Also, I have submitted a DCR to revise the number of at-large members on the committee. Currently, The resolution indicates 4 at-large members, and I am requesting that that number be increased to 6 at-large members to enable more participation by membership to be able to serve on the committee. That completes my report, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. I appreciate it. In the other committees, report to Michael.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's start out with Airport Committee. Doug Crumine.
Good morning. The Airport Committee has not met this month. We are actually meeting on Friday, so we have nothing new to report as of right now. But I do want to thank the board. I will be stepping down as the Airport Committee Chairman. I have recommended Ray Lewis to be taking my place. I just want to thank the board for all the help that they've given the airport in the past. Also, all of the staff of Pecan Plantation, but I'd especially like to thank Michael Bartholomew and Daniel Van Patten. Consummate professionals. It's truly been a pleasure working with them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Any comments or questions for the Airport Committee? Let's move on to Safety and Security. Bobby Brownlee.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Safety and Security met at our regular time on March the 9th with all committee members present. We heard one dispute. We reviewed one dispute. We also said goodbye to Dave Leverton, who is retiring as chairman of Crime Watch. In new business, we did submit our pie in the sky wish list to long-range planning, which I'm sure that everything will be approved and funded, so watch for that. We also spent some time discussing the safety and security issues that might be associated with the 19th hole as there continue to be some issues arising there. Ty is not here this morning, so the statistical information that he usually presents will have to wait. And I, too, am stepping down as chairman of Safety and Security. This has been a wonderful experience for me, and I, too, certainly appreciate the support of management and board members in the things that we have accomplished and entertained and tried to do in our safety and security meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby, for your service. We appreciate it. There is one DCR coming out of safety and security, and that is in regards to open fires. And this is a request from the fire department that we go through the Hood County Fire Marshal. And so we have that DCR coming to the board. The verbiage that was in our rules is outdated. It mentions a TNRCC, which is no longer a governmental body. And so now, if you would like to have an open burn on your property, you simply go on the Hood County website, click on the fire marshals, and then you'll get a report that you can print out and send back and get your approval through Hood County.
One further question.
Go ahead, Doug.
Question for you on the member patrols. What's the status of that?
It's non-existent at this time. It's non-existent at this time. Mr. Leverton has talked with the folks who have been helping him with this, and all of them said, well, we'd like for this to continue, but no, we don't want to be the chairman. So it's, as I say, non-existent right now, but certainly the prospect for revitalizing it is out there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Let's go on to Keith Castellan, Sports and Recreation.
Thank you, Michael. I'm sitting in for Brenda Palmer, who could not be here this morning due to a death of a family friend, so she had a funeral to go to. First, I want to say I'm not going to step down from my position, so I just want everybody to know that. You're going to have to shoot me or fire me. But we met at our regular time on March 1st, which is the first Tuesday of the month. This month is a very busy month because we have spring break and Easter, and a lot of our organizations with our Easter egg hunt, and I want to say this week we had a large contingent of volunteers come out and hand stuffed around 2,000 eggs that we'll be putting out this weekend on Saturday for our Easter egg hunt, which is a very popular event. We average probably around 500 people, attend that event. And archery has their Easter egg shoot also on March 26th. Tennis had a spring break junior tennis camp, and on April 1st, they are having an all-fools mixed doubles mixer. And pickleball, everybody, I'm going to say what Brenda always says. I know, everybody's getting sick of hearing pickleball, but it is booming. So we have a lot of people continuing to play pickleball, and we want to give a large thanks to Daniel Van Patten and his crew, where we erected a small fence at the basketball court over by the tennis shop on one side to enhance play, to keep balls from rolling down the hill. We did that project in-house. It cost a minimal amount of money, and if you haven't seen it by passing, it means we did a great job. It's not standing out like a sore thumb. It looks really good. We put up some black vinyl fencing 4 feet high. It blends right on in, and we hope that our pickleball players will get on out there and utilize that and get out of the gym a little bit where it opens it up. Fitness Center Committee, we've been actively meeting on that project weekly, working on a marketing plan, a PowerPoint presentation, and a timeline. We will be requesting to present a presentation of where we're at the May Board of the May, what is it, second or something? Yeah, the May Board of Director work session there first, and see if we need to make any adjustments there before we continue on with the plan and implementing flyers, trifold flyers, and possibly statement stuffers. And we're going to get into a columns article in June where there'll be more information on that. And later this year, we're planning some town hall meetings, a lot of question and answer, because there's a lot of questions of what we're trying to accomplish with this. But we got a great group of people with great ideas. Pickleball, tennis, egg stuffing. I think that's it.
Comments, questions for Keith? Let's move on to Joe Hartman, Marina Committee.
Yes, sir. Before I go into the Marina Committee, I have one quick question. On the fire permits for the people in Johnson County, do they do the same thing?
Yes, I believe so.
Because there's 200 plus of us that are Johnson County residents,
yes.
Not Hood. Okay. Now into the Marina Committee stuff. The main dock extension has run into some obstacles. One is all the prices have been jacked up since we got our estimates originally for planning. So we're trying to figure out a less expensive way to get back within the budget that we had forecast. One of the options is that we have the floating part of the system to the right of the current dock before you get to the ramp. And so it'll be, the gas pump would be kind of separate from the other part of the dock. It'd be not attached to it, but separate line. That's one of the options we're looking at, trying to get our costs down to reality, plus to meet the BRA requirements for not being too far out into the lake. Our original concept had us too far forward into the lake body of water, and the BRA was not happy with that. The second area is that our oleander seedling plantings are in progress. We're waiting for them to hatch. There's a couple sidebars on that part. The watering system, I just have a problem with trying to ask my committee members to carry 5-gallon cans of water up and down the fence line. Somehow that picture doesn't look well at all. So we're working with Daniel, trying to come up with a better way of doing it so that we can water it without physically hauling cans. The Marina Store's got a proposal coming up to close on the 30th of March for one day to retile the floor and to do some painting on the structure. So the store itself, if this is approved, will be closed for one day. That's what we're proposing. You will see in the April columns article that we are asking people to come claim some things. We have a boat, a trailer, and a lot of trash that looks like it was somebody's personal property that we think is abandoned. They have until 15 May to either claim it, pay for it, or we will move it. And it'll be moved permanently into the trash system somewhere. That's it for me today. Thank you very much.
Comments, questions for Marina? Yes.
How full are we at the marina at this point in terms of slips that are rented?
We have, the last time I checked, which is about a week ago, we had 10 slips still open. The rest were closed.
Any other questions for Joe? I have a report from Rod Heinschmidt, who had a dental appointment. He said that they are continuing, the grounds committee is continuing to paint fire hydrants, about 10 per week, and started the process of the back circle beautification process. You notice the new sign has been installed. Thank you very much to David Jeffries and John for all their hard work. We were also working with AMUD, and they have given us a good deal on the water line tap-in fee, so that will be the next step. And then irrigation will go in next, and then we'll be meeting with the Green Thumb Garden Club to see what improvements we can make within our $7,000 budget this month. So after many years of discussion, the Back Circle project beautification has begun. It's a multi-year project, but we're excited at least to see something happening. Let's move on to horse owners. Tammy Dressman.
We are currently still full at the stables, which is maxed out at 20 horses, and we still have a wait list, probably about 7 or 8 people on the wait list to get in. We have a really good active group there now. I just had a question about one thing, though. We had mentioned probably last year about trying to get some kind of storm shelter for the caretaker out there who lives in that mobile home, and I just didn't know how to go about trying to get that done for him. I'm looking at y'all.
We can discuss that with staff and the board, and
okay.
Obviously there's an expense there, but it's certainly something that's probably needed, so we'll take that under advisement.
Just in the ground or someplace for them to be able to have some place to go, because there's nothing structurally sound enough to withstand a tornado if it were to hit.
That's a good point. Thank you for that.
Okay, I'm done.
Yes, sir.
Since I've been on the board, I've heard that among all of our activities, the stables has always been very efficient and, in fact, has been on the positive side of the ledger. And I hear that the stables are full and there's a waiting list. So the obvious question then would be, is there discussion or even a possibility to then expand to increase the number of stables so we can accommodate more horses? I mean, it seems like there's a need, and is there any space to do that?
The problem is pasture space. We don't have the acreage. You have to have about 1 to 1.5 acres per horse for being able to maintain them, and we're maxed out on acreage. So if we were able to come up with some acreage, we could certainly look at doing that. But that's where we're at. We don't have the land to do it.
Okay. Well.
Any other comments for stable operation in Tammy? We do have a DCR. Mr. Brown is not here for golf, but we do have a DCR coming out of the golf committee coming to the board this month regarding walking on the golf course in the mornings. We're going to allow early morning walking on the golf cart pass only on early morning hours before golf play and on Mondays. And so that will be a DCR that will be coming to the board for approval this next month. As far as membership, we're up to 2,985 members, which is +4 year-to-date. And if we don't have any other committee reports, Mr. President, I believe that concludes all of our reports. Todd, did you have any report or not? Okay, quiet month for insecurity for November. Mr. President, that concludes our report. I would like to mention Easter brunch is Sunday. Please make your reservations. It's an extremely busy day for the club. Seating's on a half hour beginning at 11 o'clock, so hope to see you there.
Thank you, Michael. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.